Ryan, what do we love?
We love ghost stories.
And what do we have?
We have people with ghost stories.
So what are we going to do?
We're going to listen to those ghost stories.
Let's get spooky.
Let's get spooky.
Lisa LaMarco, you have a ghost story or two for us?
I do. Back in the early 2000s, I went to Bridgewater State University, and
My
I decided,
father went there.
no way. We have so
Yes.
many connections.
That's
We'll have to talk
crazy.
about that later too.
Yep.
So I got a job at this place called the Blackthorn Tavern. It was also called the Pickle Barrel before that. Very small Irish pub. It was probably built in the early 1900s because it was like really close to the main drag.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Really close to the street. I love working there. Free beer, music. I was 20, 21. You know, you could hang out late. So I would always work Saturday doubles. It was the beginning when I first started working there. I think it was even my first Saturday double. You had to go downstairs in the basement. Didn't love the basement anyway the first time I went down there. And all the supplies were down there, napkins, takeout containers.
Yeah.
So when I went downstairs, the bottom of the stairs, like you go straight. I kept seeing something catch my eye on the left side, and then I would look at it, nothing. So it happened a couple times, but when I would look away, it looked like I was seeing a tall, dark figure, and I couldn't see a face. Every time I looked back at it, nothing. So it must have happened like 3 times, but the only thing I could distinguish was a black hat.
Oh my God.
Corner of my eye. You know, like 3 times. I'm like, am I losing it? Am I losing my shit? Like, what's happening?
Are they separate times? Like it's just like every once in a while you'd have to go in the basement and you'd see out of the corner of your eye this thing, or was
yeah,
it all
like I'd go get what I was getting, and then
Yep.
I'd go back to that area, and I'd look straight at it, but again, I couldn't see it.
Yep.
I'd look away, I'd see it out of the corner of my eye. So it's my first Saturday double. People don't know me. I don't look like a crazy person, so I didn't say anything. I'm doing my thing upstairs, and all of a sudden I hear like craziness in the kitchen. Most of them speak Portuguese. Maria, the prep cook, is yelling in Portuguese, saying that she's not going down there anymore. So I go back there and I ask the guys, and they translate to me what she said. And she said she wasn't going down there to do potatoes or anything anymore because she saw, I don't know if she said a diablo or what she was or what she said.
Wow.
But whatever it was catching my eye, she must have seen.
Wow.
You know.
Oh,
And that confirmed it for me. And again, I still didn't really say anything like, oh, I saw her too. I just kind of closed my mouth.
Yeah.
But for me, like that was enough. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down there as little as humanly possible.
Sure.
And then I heard after that, like she was prepping upstairs. She wasn't having that anymore.
Yeah.
I think she was from Brazil, very superstitious. Nope.
yeah.
You know,
So
so she was done down there.
So, and how many times, forgive me, how many times did you go down there and actually, realistically, how many times do you think you saw something?
It was one day, it was one visit down there, but I kept going back to the area just to kind of glance, like.
Yeah.
But like I said, I would glance and look in the area where I was seeing something, and I couldn't see it. It was when I was walking straight again that it would kind of pop up in my periphery.
That's the badass bravery of a waitress. You're down there. You think you see something, then you're like, well, I'm going to go about my business. I'll check again. Check again. Like you checked multiple times. I would have been out of there. I would have been like down the street, putting my resume at Applebee's.
There was no other way to get back upstairs. It was like one staircase, so I had to go back.
Oh, wow.
You know, arms full of shit. You know, I'm just glancing again.
Yep.
Did you
But
ever
apparently,
see anything again?
must have been like a year later, another Saturday double. There was one other thing that happened to me that I couldn't explain. So I got in at like 11:30. Denise got there before me at like 11:15. She had the one table in the restaurant. It was a 4-top of ladies. I remember they were sitting right by the window. So I just got there and put my bag away. There were 2 computers. So I'm punching in at the left computer, you know, checking in basically, punching in so I can get paid. And Denise is at the right computer, punching in the ladies' orders. And I'm punching in, and all of a sudden I hear in my right ear, miss, like an old man's voice. like in my right ear. And I kind of look at her and I'm like, what was that? Meanwhile, she's at the right computer and her eyes kind of well up. And we're looking at each other like, what was that? Because there's 4 ladies on the other side of the restaurant.
Yep.
And she's like, did you just hear miss in your ear? And I was like, my right ear. And she's like, my left ear. So whatever it was like between our freaking heads.
Oh no.
Like I have chills telling the story. I've told the story a bunch of times. Like I told Renee today and I had chills telling the story.
Yeah.
But we had no freaking explanation for it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
no
like,
one else in the restaurant when that happened.
There were a couple cooks in the kitchen in the back, but
Yeah.
like there was no one
near
there.
you guys.
No.
Yeah.
4
And
ladies just
a male voice said miss.
yeah. Like it was like an older gentleman's voice too. Like it must have been between our heads though, because like it was in my right ear and it was in her left. So at that point, I was comfortable with the owner at that point. You know, he's in his 50s, Irish Catholic guy. So I told him, I was like, John, this thing happened to me, like in my ear. You know, it happened to Denise. She heard it too. And he said he had a medium there at one point, and the night after the medium came, and I don't remember what the medium said. I know he told me. He said that one night after he was walking down the stairs to like go down to the office, which was also in the basement, awesome, that one night brooms and everything was falling down the stairs, like freaked him out. Like it was trying to stop him or something. I don't know.
He was walking down the stairs and then a bunch of stuff fell down the stairs like.
Yeah, like there were brooms leaning up on the walls along the staircase. You know, dustpan, like stuff falling down at him. And
but he knew something was up. He had a medium come, so like he knew. So like
he knew.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if your boss is like, hey, nobody panic, but I am gonna have a medium.
Yeah, I'm gonna have this looked into.
Looked into.
Yeah.
You know, nothing to see here, but a medium is gonna come by. You know, just for stuff. That's.
This was before my day that he had a medium, so apparently stuff was happening a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And then he just said,
you.
Yeah, I don't know. And then there was another thing he told me that I remember. He said that there was a storm one day and his neighbor across the street called him. He was like, it was like a tree and shrub planting place. He calls him and he said, John, you know, you might want to have your roof looked at. It looks like pieces of your shingles are coming off. And he goes out with the guy and they can see like some pieces are loose. And the next day, I guess a roofer came and there was nothing wrong with the roof. So I don't know, just like weird stuff that he couldn't explain.
Yeah. Does it still exist, this place?
The building is still there. They've since had like quite a bit of turnover. You know, it's been a Brazilian steakhouse. It's been an Italian restaurant.
Yeah. Imagine how confusing that is for a ghost.
Right?
Like all of a sudden it's a Brazilian steakhouse and the ghost is like, so what happens with the steak now? Like what?
Yeah.
What are we
That's
serving?
what you're concerned about.
I'm very concerned for this ghost who's like, this is my house. What's happening?
What's happening? Yeah.
It's a rowdy bar with music. It's an
Now
Italian place. Yeah, now there's spaghetti.
Yep.
I'm trying to make blood flow from this wall, but people think it's red sauce now because it's an Italian place.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the place, you know, I feel like I have a lot of good memories there, you know, music and beverages, but those are things that just like stood out in my mind that I still can't explain.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I'm sure what's crazy is that like for all those years and all the people that work there, like conceivably everybody might have a story or like a separate like thing. And a lot of people like didn't tell each other, but like that's, no, thank you.
Nope.
Yeah. Do you still keep in touch with anybody that works there or you worked with there?
Yeah, well, a couple people on Facebook. I mean, I could probably reach out and, you know, get some more stories. I even went online to try to find the history, like to tell you guys a little bit more, but it's just like so-and-so bought it on this day and it, you know, it's now called this or, you know, that kind of the restaurant history.
Yeah.
But I would love to dig into the building a little bit more.
That's always a bummer because in the movies when people look that stuff up, it's like Lord and Lady Thornburg first bought the place in the year 1706, but their child was sick. And when you do it now, when you actually
Right.
look, it's just like, so the building swapped hands to become
Yeah. I'm like,
Staples
that's
on this day. And you're like,
boring. I don't want that. I like want the juicy stuff.
yeah,
You
you're like,
want
who
the
put the
juicy stuff.
stones
You
in the
don't-
earth?
Yeah. Like
Not
was
the
someone
price
buried
it's
in the
sold.
basement?
Yeah.
It sold for $450,000 on Redfin in 2006, and
So I'm a little curious still. I feel like it's kind of re-sparked my interest in the building itself.
will you
Yeah.
will you reach out to some of those people and just ask them if they have any stories, and if any of them do, see if they'll talk to us? Because I feel like this is what would be really interesting, is to find when you have one person that tells a story like this, it's very fun. When you start to have two or three people that tell stories about the same location,
Yeah.
then it gets real interesting.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I'll definitely. There's two that I think would be willing to talk about it.
okay.
Yeah.
So maybe
Would
I'll
love
message
to.
them and reach out to you guys and let you know if we have some more stories from the Blackthorn Tavern.
That would be
Tavern.
awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks,
Pretty
Lisa.
cool.
Thank
No
you for
problem.
thank you for telling it.
That was awesome.
Scare bones.
Scare bones. I'm giving that some good, solid scare bones.
That's solid scare bones for me too. That's
Yeah,
and again, multiple people. Like I love. There's a history. It's the same building. Other people experience. It was the idea that this man had a medium come in.
Yes.
That he has stories. That waitress and her both hearing it from like ears, and the idea of like a face maybe had leaned in and just.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
I just got chills.
100%. I love a story where somebody wasn't looking for it
Yeah.
and runs into it.
Yeah.
And she was just a new waitress
Yeah.
who ran into a weird situation. The fact that she went downstairs, saw this stuff, questioned herself, then
Yeah.
came up, and a Portuguese prep cook was like,
Oh, yeah.
"No,
I
I will not go down there."
I forgot that she had that experience and then was just like waiting on a table and then heard people heard the cooks in the kitchen be like,
Yeah.
"Yo, don't go down there."
I'll tell you, I have that building. I've been to it personally because I went to school down the road from it, and it is an old building. It's a creepy building.
Cool.
It's what you would expect. You'd be like, "Oh, this building's probably." I'm just going off my memory, but it's got to be 100 years old at least. And that area is old New England. So it doesn't surprise me that, regardless of whether something's haunted, when you go into a building like that, where you're like, just a ton of people have come through this building, lived and then died and passed on. It's like there's history here, and you can feel it in a building like that. And I love that. That's my favorite. That's my favorite kind of haunt.
Yeah. There's a couple places like that in Concord. There's like a restaurant in Concord that we would go to all the time, and it was like known to be haunted. But anytime I took a picture in there, I was like nervous to do it because I was like, I know I'm gonna look back at this picture. There's gonna be an orb, and I'm not gonna be happy about this orb.
I'm gonna get stuck with orbs,
and the orb's gonna be in my house now, and I don't have any time for orbs in my house.
I'm sucking my orbs home.
This is my father's house. Don't follow me to my father's house. He doesn't need it. He's stressed enough. So I'm gonna go 8. I'm gonna go 8.4.
Well, that's our highest scare bone so far.
Is it? Well, I gave 10 to Tony.
Oh, that's true, because that was just insane.
That was bad news. I'm gonna re-edit that one and put it back up because that one should just be on its own.
I'm with you on this one though, and I'm even going further just because of the multiple eyes on this, whatever was happening there. I'm going 8-7.
Wow.
8-7 scare bones.
8-7 scare bone. So that's a good scare bone.
Bing.